Hello and welcome to the part 7 for setting up always on cluster, multi-subnet, virtual lab on a laptop. In this video, we're going to cover how to set up multi-subnet virtual router. The idea is that we will be creating 3 different networks, and now each of those networks should have internet access while they should be able to talk to each other. So it's not happening at Hyper-V configuration level, so we'll be doing it at a router level. So we'll create a new virtual machines, and this is also a part where I show you how to create the differential disk. We'll create a differential disk, a new virtual machine, and then we'll go ahead and configure a virtual router on it. Once this part is ready, then your Hyper-V setup is ready to create the new VMs attached to any of those different networks and talk to each other, and still able to set up a network which would be similar to what you'll get in production, except the best security practices. So let's get going. So far in this video series, we have covered high level what's the architecture should look like overall once we are done building it, and we covered a demo session of what's the end product look like, how the 3 nodes should set up, how they'll fail over, and what are the 6 different scenarios of always on failover, and how to do what to do and when you'll cause an outage and not. Then in the third video series, we covered scripts and downloads, where you can download it, as you can find the link for download also on GitHub, and that link is available in the description below. Then set up laptop to boot Windows 10 VHD. So we created a virtual hard disk, set up everything so that it can boot Windows 10 from it, and then we booted with it. Did the basic configuration. So now you have a laptop which is just booting from a different virtual hard disk and not touching anything existing system, and you're all set up ready for creating a new Windows. Configuring Hyper-V on Windows 10. So that's the next part we did. We set up Hyper-V on that, and in the last video we covered that how to create a parent 2019 Windows Server hard disk. Now we'll be using that hard disk what we created as the base for rest of the virtual machines, and the first virtual machine in this session we'll create will be the virtual router. So which will have these 3 network, and we'll set it up so that both these LAN 10 and LAN 20 network can use the LAN net to get access to the internet, while these 2 network can talk to also each other. Alright, let's get to the next. My name is Prakash Heda. I'm MCADP. I'm a senior manager in SSNC Advent. I also have a blog, Help with SQL Server Consultancy. This is my blog where you can find all the articles plus their links plus LinkedIn. Let's get going with tutorial. We are on the Windows Server. This is a Windows 10 virtual hard disk. If I start Hyper-V, we can see that nothing is configured at this point. If we go to our C drive, the folder we created, you can see our scripts are there and the binaries we created. So if you look at the scripts, you can see chapter 7 is there. You should be able to download this part as well. So download this. Then SQL binaries are there, and this is the VHD part where we created the virtual hard disk as the parent. Just make sure that before we start you're making read only so that this hard disk will not be changed. And now let's open our script. So part 7, I opened it. So first part, we are again creating the virtual machine, so we are setting the variables so we can change the password and the VM name on the fly while booting it up. So here is the name, virtual name. We're gonna call it VW19 router. This is the password, and this is the location for the virtual machine, same as VM name. Then we'll create a new VHD. This command you have seen before, but there's a change. This time you see parent path, and this is our virtual hard disk parent path, right? So this is parent VHD we just created. What we are doing is create a VHD, but use this as a parent, so it will boot up very quickly, and only if you're making a change, then only that change will update it into the original, into the differential hard disk. Okay. Alright, so let's run this command. To understand more of these commands, in the previous video tutorial I did walk you through what all it does. Otherwise it's pretty self-explanatory. So we are mounting it, we are getting the drive letter, so this will mount it. So mounted it, right? So now let's check the drive letter. We want to connect the drive letter, and you can see the drive letter is F drive. So F drive is there. So we want to move this unattended base file, this variable, into file and then store it under the F drive as unattended XML. So let me run that. I run the selection. Now I'm just dismounting it. So before dismounting, let me show you what are you seeing on the F drive. You can see F drive is seeing literally everything we have, right? Because it's basically think that parent VM is the one, all the files for parent VM will show up here, right? So only the changes will now go into the file. And if let's go take a look at the VHD part, where we are seeing the Windows 19 router, you can see that it's only 69 MB right now. But as we go further and as we make changes, we'll see that all our new changes will start taking up space here, but the size would still be much less, and that's why within 128 gig of total space we'll be able to create 6 different VMs and do all the testing. So I'm gonna dismount it. Now we'll be creating a new VM. We are creating with the default network, which is the internet connected LAN net, that's the name. We'll be connecting the other 2 networks one by one, because after connecting every network we want to rename it, give it a right name and all that. So we are setting up now only one CPU, that doesn't need more. Memory is minimal, 4 gig maximum. We are enabling VM integration. We are disabling some of the basic stuff. Click that. The base VM is ready, and if you go here, you can see Windows 19 routers created. You can do all those things by GUI also, but there's a quick method, so we'll use that. More reliable method as well. So start VM, we are not only starting VM, we are running a command to connect the localhost. So did Windows 19 virtual hard disk, and because of that, we don't have to make any more changes this time. There's no more prompt about installing, selecting the language and all that. Because of the syspref we did, we'll be getting a new UID GUID every time. So as usual, I'll make it full screen, show stop. I'll just save this setting. This is something you need to do first time every time you create a new VM, so that you're getting a full screen view for that VM. Same password as you know. So our basic Windows 19 new VM is created, which is completely blank. So now let's see the size. You can see the size is almost 2 gig now, because it's storing its local configuration on that file. Within 2 gig we have the whole VM ready. Now typically we won't be making much changes here except one part. I prefer to do it via script, so it's it's more reliable. So we select the same method we use to connect. We create a credential, we enter a PS session. I just do it and see the change here, that right now we are running on C Windows System 32 PS. This should change to the host name W19 router colon. So as you can see, W19. So now we are connected to W19 router. On that command, next command we run to see get network adapter, because we want to set up our LAN net properly. So we can see one network adapter is there. It thinks Ethernet up 585 FX4. So we want to make sure that we change it. We want to give it a new name, LAN net. So basic commands which will tell us that we are changing the network interface port, current switch name Ethernet, new name is LAN net. Looks good. And we can validate what's the current configuration look like. You can see IPv6 is enabled and IP address is 4. And at this point I would like to disable IPv6 as well as change the name. So rename a NAT adapter will help you change the name, plus disable net binding will take care of disabling IPv6. Not needed for this test setup, right? So we are restarting NAT adapter. After that we again check, and our network name is now LAN net. Only one network, IPv4 is working, so this seems all set. If I do get an adapter again, you can see the name is changed. The same exercise we'll do for other two. Let's check the host name. We can see it's Windows 19 router. So we run the stop computer command to basically shut the machine down. At this point, the VM which we were looking is shut down. Now let's add the new switch to it. So we get a new switch name. We add it to the Windows 19 router and we start the VM again. Since all the variables are already stored here, I don't need to populate all that. I can just say start connection. The system may take a few minutes to come up, but we'll see. And you can see the system is already up. It's pretty fast. I'm using an SSD, so things are very fast. So that's why the requirement is to use an SSD in this case. So you can run like 6 VMs without getting into much trouble. So we did that. We are entered into the system. Again, I just wanna find out what's the network name and change it to LAN 10. So run the command. And we can see it's calling again Ethernet, network adapter 2, 10 Gbps, perfect. So current network default. This is important. You want to find out what's the default gateway, 10.10.10.1, right? So this is what we want to assign, and DNS address would be 10.10.10.2. And this is for the domain controller, which we'll be configuring in the next video tutorial. Okay, so I did all that, pre-configure. Let's check values. What we'll be doing, network interface is 10, which we validated. It's coming from here, 10. Current switch name is Ethernet. We want to change it to LAN 10 to remove any confusions. Let's get network. If I do that, I can see the current configuration. Again, IPv6 is enabled, which will disable it, and we just need that. We change this Ethernet to LAN 10. So let's rename it, disable it, and then get the next command back again, and we can see both changes are done. Our network is good. Now I'm giving this network its own IP address, 10.10.10.1, because that's what we want this network to be. So I'm running it, and it's getting 10.10.10.1. We'll restart network adapter. And as you can see now, this is a 10.10.10 network. So anytime we are creating a 10.10.10 network VM, then what we want is we want that VM to route through this router, so that once it comes to this router, and then it can, this router will allow it to connect to the internet as well as talk to the other nodes as well. And let's do get net adapter and finally stop computer. So we can see now 2 network adapters are there, 10 LAN net, working as we expected. Now we create the third, we shut down the machine. As you can see, machine is again down. So let's add the LAN 20 to it. Same process. I'm gonna run it, give it like few minutes. It's typically pretty fast. So it should start up pretty quick. Once it does, we'll do enter session. Then we want to find out which networks are there which are not matching with the name LAN, because that would be the Ethernet one we need. Okay, system is up. So let's run that. Enter PS session. Once it's done, we'll get the network adapter. Want to change the name, and we'll get the new values. So connected. Run the script. As you can see, our interface is 14. This is the one which doesn't have a name, starts as LAN. So 14, we want to change it to LAN 20 from Ethernet to LAN 20. Simple process, the same what we did for the other 2 times. Next 4 lines will basically switch the name, disable the IPv6, and then finally give us that this is the updated version. Now we want this IP address to be 20.20.21, so we're going to configure it that way. Restart network adapter and then check the values. We executed the command quickly, so give it like maybe a few seconds before we run it next. But we are seeing all the network which are up, and what's the IP address. As you can see, there are 3 network. LAN 10, it has 10.10.10 network. LAN 20 is 20 subnet, and then LAN NAT is the internet one. So at this point, all our networks are up, so we can see what's the host name. It's there. Let's see if we can ping the Google. The system is able to work. Let's see if we can ping itself. Ping is working. Let's see, it can ping to 10.10.10.3, which is our host computer. So if you remember, when we configured the Hyper-V and created this network, when we give it a 10.10.10.3. So just to check that again, right, we can run this command to our local Windows 10 VHD, and we can see that we have the LAN NAT, LAN 10, and we mark it 3 as 10.10.10.3. So it's basically connecting, so it's able to talk to its host, just looking fine. Then let's make sure that we ping to 20 and to the external one, and both are working fine. So as you can see, all replies are coming, all good. Now the next part is enable the routing, the virtual router, what we did. So I'm just gonna go ahead and run a selection. So this will install a feature, Windows routing in it, and then we'll manually configure the NAT and LAN routing. So once it's done, I'll be back. Okay, so as you can see, this product is installed. So let's connect to the VM. So we'll pick routing and remote access. This is the tool we'll be working with. Click configure enable, click next, click custom configuration. We want it to be LAN as well as LAN routing, so we select both, click next, finish. To finish it, click on start service. So to start with the router, let's go validate. If you go to the network interface, you can see all the networks are connected here. LAN NAT is visible. So if we create a new VM here, they should be able to connect at this point to each other. Okay. So this is how we configure virtual router. At this point, you're all set. If you create a new VM at this point, you can manually create a VM, or in the next video, I'll show you how to create a domain controller, and then use that domain controller to point to router as a gateway, so that all the connection is routing through it. And then we'll be creating 3 VMs and test out the always on setup. So the basic setup is configured, but we want to set up a NAT. So you go to IPv4, expand it, click on NAT, right click, say new interface, select the LAN NAT, click OK. So this will create a network interface, public interface connected to internet, enable NAT on this service. And that should be it. And this way, all these network what we have here would be able to connect to the internet. Hope you like this video, and if it was useful to you, like it. If you prefer to see another video and updates to them, then please subscribe, and I'll see you in next video. Thank you.